I'm not sure what the licensing fees would be, Kathleen, to change this opening music to Four Non-Blondes. What's up? We could do that. I mean, there's money in the budget, right?
Yeah, of course.
Right? Anyway. All right. I'm Christopher Heath here for News 6 Extra, back in the big seat one more time. 4.5 billion years ago, the Earth was a molten rock, just kind of cooling down. Well, that and this weekend are probably the two hottest times in Earth's history. Candace will explain.
Yeah, Christopher, at the end of the day, it is going to be all about the heat. We're talking warm and muggy conditions still for today. Feeling pretty typical for this time of the year for your Friday. Little rain in the forecast, a little bit of rain. Not completely at 0%. And then as we head into the weekend, again, the big story is going to be the big time heat risk that we are expecting not only Saturday, but Sunday and even into Monday. Now, the last time we hit 100 degrees, and this weekend we're going to get pretty close in some spots, but the last time, without talking about humidity, the feels like temperatures, this is not what we're talking about. We're talking about the thermometer actually reading 100 degrees. The last time that happened in Sanford was in 2024, Orlando a few years ago, 2023. But the one spot that hasn't seen 100 degree mark in quite some time, Melbourne. Last time was in 2011. So as we look here throughout the next couple of hours, throughout the lunchtime hour, we're going to continue to see those rain chances slowly go up to about a 40%. Highs are going to be in those mid 90s. I do want to show you though, over the next couple of hours, we're going to start seeing a couple of those scattered showers start moving in along that sea breeze. Can't rule out the chance of some heavier downpours lined up along I-4 between about 3 and 4 o'clock. And that overall kind of threat for more rain will be in the forecast across our western zones as late about 7. I don't see a lot of rain lingering beyond sundown for tonight. Now, looking at the water vapor imagery, all that tropical moisture that we had over the past couple of days, it's on its way out. So that means we're going to be replacing all that moisture with a lot of dry air. Look at how much is expected to continue to take over the area. You can see all that dry air even stretches all throughout the Bahamas, and that will all continue to kind of move in as a big ridge of high pressure continues to kind of dominate not only here in central Florida, but across the deep south. And that's going to dry us out, kind of limit our ability for our sea breezes to cool us down. So no rain cooling us down, no sea breezes cooling down, basically means we have all day to heat up. And that's exactly what's going to happen Saturday, Sunday into Monday. 97 will be our high, between about 97 and 98. The models do fluctuate a little bit on the actual temperature there, with rain chances low at only 20%. Could get close to a record in Orlando with a high of 98 on Saturday. A little farther on Sunday, that record is 100, but notice the heat index feeling like 107 degrees plus. But then by Sunday and Monday I do think will be the hottest day of this kind of heat wave, but we could be closing in on 113. Now, I do expect us to all have heat advisories in place all weekend long, but the question is will we have the extreme heat warning when feels like temperatures become more widespread above 113. That's that next caliber of warnings for this heat wave. Now, beach forecast for today into the weekend, looking good. Rip Current risk still in the low end. Surf about 1 to 2 feet. Great boating weather as well if you have the opportunity to enjoy it there. Then, as you can see here, the heat risk, this is really going to be the biggest concern. It's what it will be feeling like across central Florida, making sure you know the signs of heat stroke and heat exhaustion, making sure that you are staying hydrated, making sure you're taking those cooling breaks because you'll certainly be needing that over the next couple of days. Now, as we kind of show you here, we're watching about a 40% chance of rain today. Comes Saturday and Sunday, again, low end chance for rain, could get even hotter on Monday. And then finally, we'll start to get a little more rain back into the forecast for Tuesday and Wednesday. But yeah, the moral of the story is whatever you're doing this weekend, if it involves being outside, making sure that you're kind of paying attention, having the correct preparations for what will be one of the hottest weekends we've had in quite some time. Back to you.
You know it's a hot stretch when at night the low is still pushing 80 degrees. Unreal. All right, stay safe out there this weekend. If you have anything outdoors, Candace said, try and stay cool, find some shade, take some breaks, and hydrate. One of the things we're keeping an eye on right now through today and possibly on into Monday is the resentencing in the infamous Xbox murders. You may remember this happened back in 2004 in Deltona. 4 people broke into a house and killed 6 people, including a dachshund. Now, the trial that originally took place happened in 2006, and 2 of the people involved in this, Troy Victorino and Jerome Hunter, were both sentenced to death, put on Florida's death row. But because Florida's death row scheme at the time allowed the judge to have too much discretion in the matter, they were sent back to given life sentences. Well, the legal system moves, the Florida legislature moves, and once again, Florida has opened up the death penalty as a possibility, and so they were resentenced earlier this year, both receiving death. Today, they're going through what is known as a Spencer hearing. Spencer's hearing is something we have here in Florida that essentially gives the defense for the two men one final chance to go before the judge and make a case not to have the death penalty imposed. That's what's going on today. It could go on into Monday. Our Volusia County community correspondent Molly Reed is in the courtroom keeping an eye on all of this. She'll have full details coming up today at 4 o'clock. And if it does go into Monday, you can count on us to stay on top of the story into Monday. Well, yesterday, President Donald Trump issued another executive order, this one aimed at homelessness, specifically the way cities and states deal with homeless. You may remember earlier this month, News 6 investigated the cost of Florida's current way of dealing with homelessness, essentially banning camping on public spaces. And our investigators found out that this is costing communities millions of dollars because a lot of people who are homeless are being sent to the jail where the cost is much higher to house them. So there's concerns now with this executive order in place, what it's going to do, and will it perhaps mean more people are diverted instead of to the places they need maybe assistance and care at a lower cost into ending up in the jail at a much higher cost that we all have to pick up. News 6's Stephanie Rodriguez has this story.
The order directs Attorney General Pam Bondi to reverse rules that limit municipalities' abilities to relocate homeless people. It also redirects federal resources so affected homeless people are transferred to facilities for rehabilitation and substance abuse. The order comes just a month after the Supreme Court ruled in favor of an Oregon city that ticketed homeless people for sleeping outside. We do have a similar law right here in Florida about public camping that went into effect on January 1st. Earlier this month, News 6 did an investigation into the cost of that law in Orlando. We found that since January, 74 arrests have been made for public camping, and though their stays in jail varied, each day that they were in custody cost taxpayers $144. A report from the Mayor's Jail Oversight Committee found that treating inmates in the jail who are homeless and have a severe persistent mental illness is costing Orange County over $4.5 million. In the studio, Stephanie Rodriguez, News 6.
There is concern from some veterans about the way that the military, the active duty military, is now being asked to participate in immigration crackdowns. And some of the Marines have been called into places like Los Angeles and, of course, here in Florida to assist in some of the efforts by ICE. Now, a pair of former Marines are asking the government to reconsider this. Alex Cook, who is a U.S. Army veteran himself, has this story.
We're not supposed to be doing domestic law enforcement against Americans.
Alexander McCoy served in the Marines for 6 years as an embassy guard. He was disturbed by the news that 200 Marines were sent to Florida to support ICE.
The U.S. military is for fighting America's enemies. And if we're using it here in the United States, the implication is that Americans are enemies.
So he drafted this open letter, reading in part, "We swore an oath to the Constitution, and the law makes clear what the U.S. military is for and not for. Using Marines to participate in ICE operations on U.S. soil dishonors that oath." And he invited fellow veterans to sign.
Since McCoy sent this letter out a few days ago, over 200 veterans have signed so far, like his fellow Marine, Doug Jackson, an infantryman who deployed to Iraq in 2007.
Marines train for war, or they're going to war. And so this is not a mission that Marines want or that Marines are trained for. It's fundamentally against really who this country is and who we're supposed to be.
McCoy says he feels it's his duty as a veteran to speak for active duty troops who aren't allowed to express their own political opinions.
It's our job to be their voice and to, express what we would have felt when we were serving if we got put in this terrible situation.
The open letter now posted on flvetsletter.com with an invitation for veterans who agree to sign. In Orlando, Alex Cook, News 6.
The Posse Comitatus Act, which was signed by President Rutherford B. Hayes, limits the active duty military's ability to engage in policing activities within the United States. Of course, as many scholars have pointed out, there are loopholes and gaps within the act and have asked that Congress take another look at it. Of course, we'll continue to follow this story as it develops. And we'll be right back. Well, this time next week, Florida will be in the midst of back-to-school tax-free shopping. The entire month of August this year is tax-free for back-to-school shopping. Now, some parents, my wife included, have already started the back-to-school shopping. A lot of stores are doing deals this far out because they know there will be a rush at August 1st, at least here in Florida, for back-to-school shopping to get underway. So, some stores have already started making deals on certain things. My wife is a very frugal, very good shopper, so she's already started going through and finding out which things the boys are going to need and where to get them now while they're still available. But inflation, tariffs, they've driven the price of a lot of things up, whether we're talking sneakers for my sons as their feet are just now expanding, to clothing, to other things that you're going to need for back to school. CBS's Derek James has this.
Summer is in full swing, but Andrea Cuneo has already tackled back-to-school shopping for her two kids.
I'm done.
You're done.
Except for shoes. I'll let the kids pick out their pair of shoes and then we're good to go.
62% of shoppers say they'll begin back-to-school shopping before August, up over 8 percentage points from last year, according to a report by Coresight Research. Coresight's John Mercer says shoppers are seeking deals and value for money while preempting tariff-driven price increases down the line.
Tariffs have gone up. Even if deals are struck, the baseline of tariffs has gone up. More tariffs are due to come in on August 1st, and the flow through to prices is really only going to be upward from tariffs.
Angela Ryan is focusing on comparison shopping.
I wanted to make sure I was getting the lowest price. So with two kids, when you have to buy 4 sets of markers or 4 sets of crayons, I want to make sure I'm paying the lowest price.
One strategy? Shop secondhand for durable items or use what you already have.
So we try to reuse backpacks. I don't need a new one every year unless it's worn out.
Still, Mercer expects back-to-school spending to be up 3.3% compared to last year.
We think higher income consumers will drive retail growth. We think lower income consumers will be much more cautious.
Bargain hunters can also use store apps, loyalty programs, and cashback offers to stack those deals. Derek James, CBS News, Minneapolis, Minnesota.
I don't know what Miss Mercer's secret is because my two sons have never successfully gotten through a school year with their backpacks still intact. I just tear those things up every year anyway. All right, on now to Sunrail and the question of what's its future look like. The popular commuter train that runs essentially parallel to I-4, north-south-ish. Well, it's entering yet another year. Ridership is up, but still below where it was expected to end up. And the question is, as it usually is this time of year, when will Sunrail, if ever, expand to weekends? Catherine Silver was at a recent meeting where that very question was posed.
Sunrail is looking at ways to expand service to weekends, but everything comes with a cost, and now we know just how much. If Sunrail ran on Saturdays and Sundays, it would take about $26 million just to operate and maintain. On top of that, they would need a whole new staff and 3 more trains to get passengers where they need to go. The cost to buy those locomotives and cab cars alone is around $61 million. It would be cheaper if they lease or only run service on Saturdays, but there are different drawbacks to both of those options. So the next question is, are there enough people who would take the train to justify that cost? They can make estimates based on service they've run for events before, most recently during the FIFA Club World Cup match and 4th of July. They believe ridership could be anywhere from 4,600 to 9,500 in a weekend.
Is there enough demand for it? We believe that there is demand.
Amy Lockhart is the chair of the Central Florida Commuter Rail Commission.
We're doing the best that we can to look at all of the options to make it a possibility. It certainly isn't going to be overnight, and it won't be without cost, but we hear them loud and clear that that's what they want.
With plans to connect Sunrail to the airport in Orlando and the attractions still on track, Lockhart says running trains on nights and weekends will be essential for the Sunshine Corridor.
When I'm riding the trains or talking to folks, they believe that the train would be much more useful for them to be able to ride on the weekends. They work 9 to 5 somewhere. They want to be able to take the train on the weekends with their family to enjoy other parts of the region.
So what happens next? This board meeting was simply informational. The board would have to give more direction in the future for anything to become concrete. They decided to set another workshop. In Orlando, I'm Catherine Silver, News 6.
The airport. Listen, getting the train out to the airport would be an absolute game changer. You know, if you've ever flown into Philadelphia or New York, you know you can get in, you can hop on the train and kind of get where you need to go. Listen, even though the train doesn't go where I live here in Central Florida, if it went to the airport, I'd have no problem parking near one of the stations, hopping on the train and catching a flight, because sometimes driving out to MCO is a nightmare on its own. All right. Well, as we wrap this all up, do you have plans for the weekend? Got some things cooking? As Candace mentioned, whatever it is, try and stay cool or stay indoors. But meteorologist Michelle Morgan has a list of 6 things you can do, some of them very cool.
I'm meteorologist Michelle Morgan. It is going to be a hot one this weekend across Central Florida. Now, if you're trying to beat the heat, I've got 6 cool events to check out. First up on my 6 things to do, a dino-themed movie and more at the Indian Theater in Maitland. Jimmy Waldron, a paleontologist and the executive director of the film Why Dinosaurs, that shows on Sunday, shares more.
It's going to be a full VIP event. We're going to have a red carpet. We're going to have some raptors and some dinosaurs out here that you get a chance to meet and greet with. We're going to have real fossils on display. So you're going to have a miniature museum here in the lobby. You're going to get a chance to actually see and experience and touch some real dinosaur bones and meet some really cool people, and bring your burning dinosaur questions because we want to answer them.
The show starts at 11 a.m. and tickets are $12.50. Repticon going on all weekend at the Central Florida Fair starting 9 a.m. Saturday and 10 a.m. on Sunday. See live animals and shop pets and products. Join the Vegan Food Festival on Saturday from 2 to 8 p.m. at Wall Street in Orlando. Enjoy top vegan eats. Wine Walk on Flagler Avenue kicks off on Saturday at 1 p.m. in New Smyrna Beach. $30 passports includes 20 tastings and keepsake glasses. Sea Turtle Education Day starts at 10 a.m. on Saturday at Sandpoint Park in Titusville. It's a free family-friendly event celebrating Florida's sea turtles. On Sunday, check out Family Fun and Wellness Day at the Wildwood Community Center starting at 3 p.m. Come have fun and embrace a healthier lifestyle. Want to share a big event that's happening this weekend? Let me know on our News 6 app or clickorlando.com. Just click Contact Us.
The Wine Walk in New Smyrna Beach. That counts as staying hydrated, right, Kathleen? Does that count as staying hydrated? I'm getting a maybe on that one. If you stay in the shade, maybe a nice rosé or something. Probably stay away from like like a Merlot or something like that. A little too hearty and too rich and too red, at least for how hot it's going to be this weekend. All right, whatever you're up to this weekend, stay cool. If you can, stay in the shade. And we'll see you back here on Monday. The news is coming up at 4 o'clock. Of course, we'll see you then. Otherwise, have a fantastic weekend. We'll see you. Bye.